everyone, and welcome to AC Spotlight. Today I'm joined by Kade and Joseph, the minds behind Tavern Tales events, providing an inclusive and community-focused experience where you could join a table and learn the systems we all love. Welcome, guys!
Thanks for having us, Mike.
Oh, I love it. Oh, man. We were able to meet way back when in WonderCon, and since then, I'm so happy that we're able to reconnect. One quick thing in terms of before we get started, let's do a quick icebreaker. I have two questions for you guys. First and foremost, what is your favorite tabletop snack of choice?
Joseph?
Yes. Favorite snack of choice. I think I'm a big fan of something crunchy. I want a nut or a chip.
As a player or as a GM?
Yes.
See, that was gonna be my sticking point. Player, pretzels, chips, all the good saltiness. When you're DMing and you have to do 1,000 different voices, I'm actually a big fan of hydrating snacks. So like watermelon, grapes, things like that. Keep the vocal cords functional, because you can only talk like a goblin so often before you have no voice by the end of the session. So
right. Joseph, are you usually the person? Are you usually the player when it comes to the table, or do you also sort of dabble into the GM screen?
I think both. One of our favorite things about our home game and kind of what inspired Tavern Tales to happen is we had everyone at our table take turns DMing. So we noticed a huge difference once a couple of us had done it. And then by the time now 7 of us have had a chance to run a one-shot or even lead a full campaign, we've noticed a difference of engagement. So all of it, we like to mix and mingle.
Oh man, I'm gonna put that on pause because I have so much to say about that particularly, because that was one of the biggest discussions we had at WonderCon. I think my second thing I'm gonna throw at you guys, just in terms of the story sort of being told within a tabletop sort of experience, is what's best for a story. This is my second icebreaker. Is it a nat 20 or a nat 1?
We just experienced. I think we're in agreement on the nat 1.
Yep.
Oh, really?
You don't learn from a nat 20. You learn from a nat 1. The story pivots. The story changes. You're required to role play different. You're required to find different solutions. As with real life, but obviously toned down because it's fun in the role play experience. Yeah. Nat 1s and failures are what you learn from. You don't necessarily know why you succeeded if you succeed the first time. So it's great. Plus, it's almost always hilarious.
Right. I think
100% agree. I would also add, the experience I was just talking about was we had 2 people fall off the ledge, land into the oozes. That would have been zero. It would have been a zero threat if not for those nat 1s, and that is now a memorable moment.
Oh yeah. I like the way described is that nat 20 is progression and nat 1 is like reinvention.
I
will also say one of our favorite things that I've started playing around with too is it depends on the system, but also I can't remember who I was listening on YouTube recently, but it was nat 1s don't necessarily mean a personal failing. They can mean an environmental or circumstantial failing. So a lot of what we've been doing at our home table and what Joseph and I have been trying to do at the public events we do now is nat 1 and nat 20 is the universe aligning or the universe making it so it just isn't going to work this time, which means when you take it away from blaming the character, it actually gets a lot more fun. It's like, you rolled a nat 1 because you are the #1 person to pick locks. But the person who built this lock didn't quality control, so the lock was broken in the first place.
Yeah, and you go to it was already defective. You're like,
exactly.
Oh no!
As you're putting the pieces into the lock, someone comes walking around the corner. You just don't have time. You're going to get caught if you do. So then turn that one into an environmental thing instead of a you suck situation.
It also, I don't know if you've had this happen, Mike, at your tables, but like when someone rolls a nat 1, it almost always is that person just kind of like deflates and everyone else tries to like chime in to pick up the slack. And when you make it an environmental thing, they then can be part of the solution in a very fun and active way. And you don't lose that dynamic with the person who's good at the thing that they're doing. Yeah,
it becomes a dance. I've had that experience where you can tell a player is really dejected by the natural 1, seeing that they're, especially if they're so like gung-ho about a character, like a build, like this is all I do. All I do is hit really hard and I got a nat 1. This sucks. It's like I'm not supposed to get a nat 1. I've had that experience, I think yesterday.
Oh, wow.
What's today? Thursday? Yeah, Wednesday. Yeah. So
I have no idea.
Days melt together. No, I had experiences. Yeah, yesterday where a user, a player, was trying to hit a creature off a boat, and got in at one and ended up slipping off, and they got really upset. And I was like, well, you know, you nat one, it's okay. You have a second attack. You can strike as you're starting to fall, and it's like you're trying to soften the blow. So I think I like the way you guys have sort of formulated this, is that it doesn't actually have to be a personal failure. It could literally just be you take a whiff and the boat rocks, and it's the wave's fault.
Yeah.
You didn't actually, miss. It was just
Or
something else.
Yeah, someone jostles you, something outside your. A lot of times we like to make the nat ones a personal failing, and sometimes it's just like circumstances contrive to make that it's not viable regardless. And so then it gets to be something you get to react to and overcome versus something that is like a personal failing. So it can be really fun.
Yeah. I think, Joseph, you mentioned this, and we've talked about this in the past, which is everyone at the table, the experience changes when everyone at the table has been behind the GM screen. And that's something it's never left me. That's such a great advice. I'm telling everyone at home that if you want to go, if you end up going to Tavern Tales and all these events, there's some solid minds behind it. You guys are building out something really, really cool here. I think you touched upon it a little bit, but how did Tavern Tales get started?
Tavern Tales started when we were looking for more community. Our home game is now 7 people. And even with 7 people, there are regular dates. Actually, there's irregular dates where we can still all get together. The BBEG of scheduling, just contrives against us. So, I mean, we have a rule that if there's one person missing, we always still have session. If there's 2 people missing, we play board games instead. But Kade and I were looking for more games. I think there was a particular lull where I was on trip number 2 or 3 in a row, and it was really messing with our getting together. And Kade was like, I know we should be able to do this. There should be more people to play with. We've seen a lot of groups in San Diego popping up and doing events that we've been partnering with. It's kind of the year of the Dungeon Master. And as we just hit our first year,
May 20th.
May 20th, gosh, I kind of lost the train on here.
Can I pick up where you left off, Joe?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. So exactly like Joseph said, it was definitely driven by community, but the other aspect of this too, I think, was a lot of, as Joseph has already described, we both recognize kind of the privilege that comes from having a game group that, not exaggerating, meets probably before a lot of the trips and everything post-COVID, we were meeting 42 out of 52 weeks a year. Like we were meeting every single week, amazing campaigns. I was one of the first DMs for this current core group of guys, and we did a 4-year epic campaign. And we went from start to level 17. And it was amazing, and it was super fun. It was a lot of work, but I'm not just for me as a DM, I'm talking for the players too. Like Joseph joined that campaign as it was already going, and there's been a lot of intentionality. Like we have 2 people in our group now that have young children that they plan their one night off a week with their partners to be D&D night. Like this is something that we've really had to put intention behind to carve it out. Like a lot of our partners and ourselves, we plan our nights off from work. We plan a lot of this stuff to make it viable so we can keep doing it. And what we realized was that that's awesome, but that's not the norm. So how can we try to create a way that other people who want community, and quite honestly, I think both Joseph and I would agree, and hopefully a lot of the people that watch this agree, we need community now more than ever. And TTRPGs are not just escapism, they are a form of mental health and community building. And the fact that if we can do these games and create more spaces for people to have home games, or better yet, public games where people are modeling TTRPGs, like, all of our events, like the first Find Your Party event, which is one of our flagship events, it's called Find Your Party for a reason, because you come into a public space. We have breweries all over San Diego where we do it now, and where people would go and normally watch a Padres game or something, now they come in and they do a 25 to 30 minute table, sample D&D, and I mean, we average 40% of our attendees are new to these games. And so part of this is meant to be, hey, this is about the community, it's about the socialization and the interpersonal skills. because that's saved a lot of us our mental health, and we want to pay that forward.
It's also about getting a vibe check on people and finding your party. There's part of the exploration of having all of us DM is learning different styles and learning things from each other and getting a vibe check in a safe public space before you invite someone into your house and home, or any of those types of things.
Yeah, of course. When it came to the execution of Tavern Tales, what was the process to decide that San Diego or your expansion to Coachella Valley, those were the locations to be in?
San Diego was very much born out of me talking a lot about this style of event for a couple months, and Joseph working at the brewery where the first one ever came from, and saying, "Hey, I have an event space. Put up or shut up." And so we did our first event and had 50 plus people show up on a random whim, which was amazing. And then the one after that in June, we had even more. And then we got a little big for our britches and overexpanded in July, because you shouldn't do events in July when you're up against Comic-Con, but we learned that. And, but we kept going, and we've been building a really solid community. We're very fortunate for that. But I definitely, between the two of us, give Joseph all the credit for the fact that Tavern Tales actually became a thing, because I am an analysis paralysis person, and he was the one who told me, "Here's a date on the calendar, go." So
nice. You told him to jump, and we all jumped, and now here we are in the water.
And we had talked about the concept, not what Find Your Party is, but we had many concepts for over a year before that. Again, we had the space at the brewery that I worked at, and it went through many iterations, but I'm really happy with how it ended up now. And then for Coachella Valley, that's because I ended up moving up here. So that was
location. It's all about
location, yes.
And we talked a little bit about like finding your party is obviously very important. But you guys do way more than that. There is education that's also involved in this. You are teaching people how to run D&D 5e or 5.5e, as well as Daggerheart, just to say the least. It kind of leads me to my next question. Could you expand further? Like, what could people take away for participating in sort of these, learning courses?
Yeah, I think one of the best things for our table, after everyone taking a chance of DMing, the next thing was learning new systems. As soon as there's a lot of Daggerheart kind of as a love letter in our D&D play now, and the more we've expanded to more systems, we've looked at Legends of the Mist is about to come out. The Nimble system.
Nimble. Yep.
We've started to take little things that we learned and use those lessons. And that's kind of how our DM training works. It's a little trial by fire. We are basically giving people the exposure therapy to sit in the seat and then have an experience to learn from. I was reading an article today about, not an article, it was a Reddit post, let's be honest, with a theory about, the two things that you need. The reason the advice that you're being given about someone else's table doesn't work is because it's for that table and those specific people. And until you have an experience to draw from, which means sitting in the seat and doing it, it's hard to maneuver and move that line and get better at something.
If I can pick up on that too, what I would say is we were very, very intentional with our DM training. We've had one, our next one's on July 7th. We had 18 DMs show up. We sat them at tables with DM coaches, and they ran our, one thing we haven't talked about, Tavern Tales is also, we're very big on our modular encounters, which are essentially it's how we do our 25-minute tables, and they're broken up into the different aspects of DMing, whether it be a mob fight, a boss fight, skills challenge, role play, all of these things. We try to make it very manageable, and that actually very easily led into our DM training, because what we did is we had everyone come to the table. They chose one of the 3 encounters to play through. It was a 100% safe space because everyone there was either learning or a coach. And that was born out of talking to all the other organizations we partnered with in San Diego. With a shout out to Ladies of D&D, SDRA, Maverick, all these organizations that we partner with and continue to partner with. Everyone kept talking about wanting DM training. but everyone had their like, oh well, we'll train DMs for what we're doing, but how to do this in a public-facing way was a bigger challenge. So what Joseph and I said is, we have these models, let's just run it and see how it goes. And 9 of those 18 DMs now DM our events. Like, it was a completely unintended consequence, but they, and a lot of people want to DM, but getting, again, as with the birth of Find Your Party and Tavern Tales, that first step is a doozy, and it's intimidating, and a lot of people talk themselves out of it. And so by doing that, we were able to essentially, in a very, very safe way, rip off the Band-Aid, give them positive feedback, give them a cohort of people to feel community with as they were going through this very vulnerable process. And then beyond that, now they want the repetition of a Find Your Party experience. They want, half of those people now are wanting to come do Daggerheart with us. Like, it's once, I think the 3 of us on this call know this, and a lot of people who are going to watch this know, once you get your first taste of DMing, it's very addictive, because you realize that you can now tell the story you want to tell. And you can, there's a lot of people pleasing in DMing, because you want your players to feel engaged. You want them to resonate with the story that you want to tell. And by creating a space for that, we just wanted to contribute in our own small way to getting people over that hump.
It's very maternal. It's very, like, obviously if you're playing in the D&D space, or even like just fantasy, we'll just say TTRPGs in general, it is sort of a bit of like a power escape. You're able to sort of have this sort of experience of like being this amazing, and we can go across all genres of, a sword wielding knight, or, a blaster gun wielding space, pirate, or whatever you want to do. But if you're the GM, you're able to see all these sort of personalities grow as they start to go through the story, and you're it's very maternal. You're like, look at them go. Look at them. They're level 5.
Sure.
It's maternal, but I will also say another aspect. I know we got to. I think you're downplaying how much time we spent together at WonderCon, Mike. It was great to see you every single day. That was really, really fun to bounce ideas off each other. But another thing that Joseph and I did for the majority of that con was talk to people who use TTRPGs in therapeutics, and they use it in education. And a big aspect of what Joseph and I are doing right now, neither one of us are trained educators, or, my bachelor's is in psychology, but we're not clinically trained. But there is so much merit to people's ability to explore identity and explore difficult topics in a safe, fantasy distanced way that we see from the neurodivergent community, the queer community, a lot of femme identified individuals. Like, a lot of these individuals could not find places to play these games before, because it was a bit of there was gatekeeping involved. And so we're not by any means the only place to play the games now. There's those organizations I listed earlier and many more, but the ability for people to use these games not only as, like you said, escapism, but shout out to Dr. Drea, who we spoke with at WonderCon. She actually argues that D&D and TTRPGs are not escapism. They are doing self-care. It is work, and it's a way to do it for yourself, so that I think any of us who played these games for longer than a couple of years, the character you choose to play now is very different than the first character you chose to play, because that shows how you've progressed as a person. So it's really fun.
Yeah. Sharing, if we're sharing here, definitely, it is important to take care of yourself, both physically and mentally. And so when I've gone through, sessions with therapists, there was a discussion I had where it was like, I just finished my first campaign, and we did it for 4 years. And even like the therapist was like, because I was like very like, hi, I don't know, I'm not going to see these characters again. It's kind of sad. And they're like, yeah, because you've grown attachment. And I was like, yeah, I did. And she's like, yeah, that's something within your mental health that you need to be aware of now. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah. So, you're 100% on the mark. It's so important. And you mentioned this prior, is that you're also, there's focus on making things easier for people to sort of get into things. During our conversation, for both you guys at WonderCon, you were also displaying a new display or a new way to try, like, make characters. You had sort of this modular, it's the word you use, modular, way to sort of build stories and make characters. Do you mind talking a little bit more about what you're currently building?
Joseph, you want to go or me?
I don't know what we're referencing.
So to summarize what we said at WonderCon, the way we approach our Find Your Party events is that Joseph and I every month write a one-shot. We write it together, but anyone who has DM'd often enough or read published modules recognizes that they call them story beats. So you have the intro, you have the investigation, you have social encounter, you have the mob fight, you have the random encounter on the road, and all of these different things are story beats. We in Tavern Tales refer to those as encounters. And so because to us an encounter is not necessarily something that has a stat block you have to fight, it is something that you have to engage with and either overcome or gather information from. And so what we do is we write usually anywhere from 6 to 7 encounters in one whole one shot. We play test them with our Patreon members, which we do have a Patreon. That's part of how we keep in business, Tavern Tales SD. What they get to do is the Patreon members get to come to our playtest, and they get to choose of the bulk of the encounters that we playtest, which are the top 4. And those are the 4 that people get to play at our events. So what it is if you come to a Find Your Party, you're essentially getting vignettes. Joseph, he uses this and I love to describe it, old school Buffy, like how you just have a random, like it moves from scene to scene cinematically. You're playing through a certain scene from the one shot. And what has been a really, really fun aspect of this is we've pushed ourselves. Whenever we release these one shots, we release the fact that they can be run in 3 different ways. You can start with the boss fight, and then you go to an escape encounter, and then you go to an investigation encounter, and then the final thing is you defeated the boss, but now the lackeys are chasing you, and that's where the mob fight happens. Or reverse it and do this traditional way, which is, you have to find where the boss is, you have to defeat his lackeys, you then have to defeat him, and then you have to escape. And all of those orders has been one of the biggest things that I think has engaged a lot of the more veteran TTRPG players, because they get one of our one shots and they can get 3 one shots out of it if they just change up the order of how it goes. And that modularity has been very intentional on our part.
Yeah, we also had, I just got to run this again, so it's fresh in my mind, but we did one where you are helping a village decide which of the 2 druid circles to interact with. And so throughout the night, different tables were interacting with the story encounter, which is, by the end of the encounter, there was no bad guy to beat, there was no thing to overcome. You as a party had to recommend, based on information you gathered, which of the 2 druid circles you would partner with.
Interesting.
And
it becomes less of a physical thing and more like you're having a debate with the party of like what needs to be done.
Become one of my favorite things to run, because there's 6 different locations for them to interact with.
Oh.
What they go to, and they only have so much time, right? So you only get so many skill checks to engage with those locations. Because you have 25 minutes. So you engage with it. The beats that you get and the things that you learn, this leader did something bad, or this leader did something really good, or we find out these little hidden truths, that affects how they interpret the story. And then we intentionally made it so that there is no right or wrong. And then we would put those votes on a scale, and then that would change how the other encounters would go for the evening. So it didn't matter who and how and what you encountered it with, but it would change the entire rest of the evening. And that's the part about these encounters where we're trying to make them modular, because we know our participants are going to sit at them in a different order, but we still want them to all feel like they participated in the same story.
I will also say, just as a last thing to shout out, going to circle back to the DM training we were talking about, one of the biggest values that was absolutely unintentional, we did not know this when we started doing Find Your Party and started doing our other things, is what is the one thing most DMs who don't do it professionally lack? And that is repetition for a specific encounter. Because most of us, you either, you do no prep DMing and you run it on the fly, you improv it, and that encounter is gone into the ether because you're never going to replicate it because the story's moving forward. But what we've actually found is we have a number of DMs who essentially come to our events and they repeatedly want to DM at Tavern Tales events because it's their version of DM calisthenics. They get to take an encounter and they run it 4 to 5 times in a night. And by the end of it, they own that encounter more than we do because they've run it with 25 different people, different interactions, different party breakdowns, different dynamics. And what they get to see is how, and this is something that, again, it was unintentional, but it's the beauty of us just learning each iteration is they can, they're finding their voices. But one of the biggest struggles I think a lot of DMs have is what information is necessary to move the story forward and what information am I getting hung up on that the players don't care about.
Mhm.
And by the end of it, because the 25-minute challenge, like Joseph said, is difficult for the first two. By the time you get to the third and fourth, they're more efficient running these encounters than even they thought they could be. And it's really, really fun to watch. I mean, Joseph and I actually get it. I mean, I know he got to run one on Monday. I haven't gotten to run an encounter at one of our events in a couple months, and I feel like I'm getting rusty. So it's a beautiful thing.
I love it. Trial by fire.
Exactly.
You guys have done themed months, especially when it comes to your events. We've done anime tales, vampire, and just to name a few, scratching the surface. What has been your favorite theme so far?
Ooh, Joseph.
Oh gosh. So I have to say, my absolute favorite was we stepped outside of a typical fantasy setting and we took vampires and combined it with summer camp. So Friday the 13th meets Buffy. And that was absolutely one of my favorites. Not only was I a summer camp counselor for way too long, but it was taking the paladin and giving them a life vest and a giant battle axe in the form of a canoe oar that I just couldn't get over. Or like the wizard is using flaming hands with a Bic lighter and a can of bug spray. You know, like I just thought that skin was a really, really fun adventure.
Oh, I love it. Reflavoring is always the life spice of any TTRPG experience.
I will definitely say that probably my favorite so far. Joseph mentioned the balancing the scales one, which was the 2 druid circles, which was super fun. Just because we got to introduce, so we write in addition to writing our modules, we also make all of our own pre-gens, and they're all intentionally themed. Like our bard is a dwarf because he's really into rock music, because we both love puns. But our druid that we introduced now, the default druid that we have in all games going forward, they default to dinosaur wild shapes. Like that is a thing that is just part of this to carry forward, which is super fun.
Because during that adventure, the story we told is like you had a boss fight with a druid and you freed them from the plant life that was with them. So that's how we introduced the druid pre-gen to our players.
Right. But I will say my favorite, just in being a lifelong gamer, is we finally made what I believe is an extremely fun and engaging escort quest. We
certainly a challenge.
Yeah, our January adventure was called the Titan's Path, and the entire thing that we came up with, because again, Joseph and I we're best friends. We've been playing together for years, and we just like to take tropes that are done poorly and see if we can fix them. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Nice. But for this one, the party is one of many mercenary groups that has to escort a Titan, an elemental Titan that recharges for a century up in the Aurora Borealis, and then has to walk down a continent to the sea and essentially replenish the seas with life energy. And their job for the one shot we did was, you're just with this Titan for like 2 weeks to do your escort quest to make sure it gets from point A to point B. And all of the encounters were the challenges you had along the way. It was, this life Titan is overflowing with life energy, so random elementals spawn off, and you need to defeat them to make sure they don't run rampant in the countryside. You need to negotiate with townsfolk to let this Titan walk past their village, otherwise they'll attack it, because if you don't, it's going to cause property damage. Joseph did one of my favorite encounters from this one, which was, this life Titan is 90 feet tall. It steps over canyons. You as a party have to climb glaciers with climbing equipment. And it was the way.
So cool. All right, you made it. You did it.
Oh, yeah. But imagine a 25-minute encounter where the entire premise is scaling and then going back down the other side of a glacier using climbing equipment. And we used blind rolls as part of it. So you affix the climbing equipment, and then the DM, you had the player roll the dice where they couldn't see the result. So the DM knew how many uses of that climbing equipment before it came loose. And the tension at that table in playtest and every time we've done it since it's manna from heaven. It is beautiful. It is beautiful. So
I need to trek back down to San Diego and just try one of these things out. That sounds
we will run
so
it for
fun.
you.
We'd love to have you.
That sounds so much fun. You guys have done way more than just table work. You've also prioritized Paint-a-thon. Do you mind talking more about that initiative?
Yeah, we minis is the part of the RPG pie that I love the most. We started off. Yeah. We wanted to do some painting stuff. We wanted to work with some minis. We've done some classes. But currently, the current form of our painting event is helping. There's a school group called the Goblin Guild in San Diego who is helping teach kids social skills, especially after COVID. There's a generation of kids that did a couple of years where they were not building some of those social skills, so they're using D&D to do that. And one of the things that they need is painted minis, and so we get together every couple months and paint minis so that their stuff will be painted when they do summer camp or throughout the different semesters. We've actually helped them as well, being in the library, and helped DM some of their events, which is really cool.
There is no challenge like DMing a table full of 9-year-olds, which Joseph did, and I give him nothing but grace for that. It was beautiful.
I've run a game for 2 preteens where their father was in the same room, and that was rough. And they were like 12, and I was like, all right, well, we're struggling on this.
I will just say some of the most excited passion I've seen and still memories of is from that session, though, so it has its payoffs. But it was there was a moment when I looked at the person and was like, how much longer do we have?
Time, what are we doing here?
But it was good. It was really good.
Well, it's beautiful. And again, that organization, for those watching, the Goblin Guild, is down here in San Diego. They're amazing, educational nonprofit. They're awesome.
Yeah, I know, but I found ran into them at Mysticon. Goblin Guild, they're really amazing people. Last thing I'll leave us with is that I know you guys are still progressing, moving forward, new projects in the works. Is there anything that you guys would like to announce, or anything you'd like to share that you're currently in the works, or something that just got released?
The one I'll put out real quick. I know I'll let Joe talk on our adventures series, but I do want to put out that to circle back to what you talked about earlier, Mike. We have now really kind of doubled down on the learn to play aspect of these systems. So we did our first ever Daggerheart learn to play on the anniversary, May 20th, which is actually our 1 year and Daggerheart's 1 year.
Yeah.
It was unplanned to have a share birthday, but it was awesome.
Serendipitous.
So we did that, and that was really fun because we did a 1 hour, essentially mechanics one shot is what we're calling it. So it's just so people understand the unique mechanics of that system, stress, armor slots, everything. And then a 2 hour character creation that included a class pack. And so, which are the new decks that they have. We are now going to be doing another one of those for Free RPG Day here in San Diego. And then our goal is, as new systems roll out, as Joseph mentioned, we love Nimble. We've played a number of the other systems. We're looking down the road to new releases coming out. I really want to do one for Dungeon Crawler Carl when it comes out. But we really want to take our learn to play aspect of what Tavern Tales does and take that into the public forum. So a lot of people, we all love our local game stores, but you have to be a certain level of nerd to go to a game store, where if we can do a learn to play at a brewery or at a public space like a library, we tend to engage with people who need these games but don't know about them. So that's something that's a really big passion project of mine.
Yeah, our guiding light this year has been about lowering the barriers to entry for tabletop gaming.
Love it.
We're in Coachella Valley. I'm trying to get some things into the local libraries, so then it's free for people. We are partnering with the Mirasaki Karega Manga Lounge here in the Valley. Coachella Valley, I want to throw out a shout out to the Nerd Alliance. We got here, and there's a really awesome Nerd Alliance that partners and does activities with all the different stores in the area. They've been awesome to work with. But we're doing an anime themed evening where you slay, some might say, fiendish monsters. And I'm looking forward to that a lot. And then our adventure series, our goal is to have an adventure series in San Diego County that the same adventures running throughout the month, because again, we see benefits to repeat playing with the different people, but you know what's coming changes how you play, and it changes for some people. Knowing what's coming helps them try something out or try a different character type. But the goal would be, with our adventure series starting in August, that you could go to your regular game on a Saturday that works for you. But if that Saturday doesn't work, you don't have to miss. You could pick a Friday and go to a different location and pick up that same series. So nice. We're trying to build out a network of DMs that are conscientious of their groups and using safety tools and creating safe spaces for players all over.
It's okay. Actually, we'll shout out two less things. That's all of our regular programming and what we've got that's specifically Tavern Tales. We also have some really big events that were happening literally on this Saturday and next Saturday. We're at the Comic-Con Museum with that organization, and so that's going to be with Elder Martin Publishing, Goblin Guild, Ladies of D&D San Diego, Bardwired, and then the Comic-Con Museum and a number of other local orgs. They're amazing. That's going to be, we had it last Saturday. It's their summer nights programming. So it's a bunch of one-shots in the Comic-Con Museum, which is amazing. Joseph actually wrote one of the modules that's awesome there. So I want to give him the shout out for that. And then in the coming months, we're actually, if you're in town, Mike, I'd love to invite you to this as well. We are part of an engagement with the UCSD Maverick Studios, running a bunch of one-shot tables at the night market that they're hosting at Park and Market. It's off-site from Comic-Con. It is free entry. And just to play at the tables will cost you, that's how they make the money, because we want to pay the DMs. But it's set in the Shotguns and Sorcery universe, and Tavern Tales is actually writing the modules for that and making the pre-gens. So a little bit more mixture of like Old West meets steampunk, with a little magic thrown in. It's a really fun book. Definitely darker, more noir setting, but everyone, like, we're encouraging all the DMs to dress up in theme. There's gonna be a lot of local vendors, and then what Maverick does is they actually are really focused at UCSD on mixing XR, AR, and VR, and so all the students will be there showcasing different products they've developed in kind of fantasy tech environments. So it's a really fun thing, and then they'll be having their actual play that night as well.
And that's the Saturday during Comic-Con.
Friday.
During
It's Friday from 5 to 11 p.m. at Park and Market UCSD building, and free entry for everyone. The play does have a little bit of a cost, but there'll be vendors. It's gonna be, and it ends at 9:30. There's gonna be a dance. Like, it's just a great place to come post-con.
Oh man. Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Well, you heard it here, everyone. By the time this comes out, hopefully we already get to see the sort of the after pictures of everything happening.
Oh yeah.
But thank you so much, guys, for joining us. Not for only you sharing your experience, your joy, and the stories with just myself, but also with the internet at large. Where can people keep up with you and find your events?
We are at Tavern Tales SD and Tavern Tales CV on Instagram. And then our Patreon is Tavern Tales SD as well.
One other thing I'll throw out there, just as a side bit here too, for Mike, for you as well. We now just officially launched this month. If your company does team building, we are doing Tavern Tales Party Dynamics, which is a new engagement we're doing as well that we can talk about another time too. But we're trying to bring TTRPGs into the team building space for corporations and.
Oh, that's incredible!
Yeah. So that is I'm leaving that there at the end so we can, have another conversation about that another time. But
100%. Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you so much for joining us, and for everyone else for watching at home, thank you so much, and we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you, Mike.
Bye.
Appreciate it.